The Royal BC Museum was founded in 1886, and a large reason for its creation was the growing concern about the cultural belongings of First Nation communities leaving the province for the United States and Europe. Veronica Cooper explains.
In the 1870s and 80s, collectors were traveling to the west coast of Canada in search of First Nations cultural objects.
They were purchasing the material in very large numbers and sending it back to Europe, to the States, to Chicago, to Berlin. All of these places have very good collections from British Columbia.
One of the most prolific collectors was a Norwegian man, Philip Jacobsen, who had moved to Bella Coola on BC's Central Coast.
He was selling them, or he was working on consignment for museums. Tons of artifacts and amounts of dollar value, around $10,000, things like that, which was an amazing amount in the 1880s.
Some prominent residents of Victoria became very concerned.
And they petitioned to have a museum because they said there's so much of this Indian material, as they called it then, leaving the province. It will never be replaced. It should be here. And their petition was favored, and it led to the creation of this museum.
Named the Provincial Museum of Natural History and Anthropology, one of the first collections to come into the museum was Philip Jacobsen's.
So in 1893, the museum purchased, it was a very large purchase at the time, about 220 objects from Philip Jacobsen. It is one of the great Central Coast collections. It comes from Bella Bella and Bella Coola. We don't know much else about it, and that's one of the ironies, again, of Philip Jacobsen.
Because although he lived in Bella Coola and stated to journalists at that time that he had seen
many, many dances of First Nations dances, he'd heard oral histories, he knew what the masks were used for because he had experienced that.
And yet the documentation on each piece from his huge collection was usually just a few words.
The intangible part of the tangible objects that are so important to us, and that's kind of information that we would like today.
You can see some of the pieces in the First Peoples Gallery at the Royal BC Museum.
This Week in History, brought to you by the Royal BC Museum, bringing British Columbia's stories together.